All right, guys, we are hiring a lifecycle marketing lead. This role is super valuable for us because Amazon, as you probably know, and actually I think even TikTok as well, they don't like us being able to contact the customers outside of the platform. And so a huge part of Amazon marketing is trying to figure that out. How do you get their contact information? And then what do you do with it once you have it? And then the other thing that's really unique about Amazon, the platform loves outside traffic. Meaning, if you send outside traffic to the platform to buy your product, they will rank you up significantly more than the weight of a purchase if the customer goes through, they get onto the platform and then run a search and then buy a product, which obviously still has an effect as well. But Amazon rewards you for bringing in external traffic. So if we can get the contact information of the customer post-purchase and then bring them back into the platform through our means, whether it's email or social media or landing page or whatever, it's a good strategy. So that means that a big part of the lifecycle marketing game is trying to get that contact information, but within the, usually kind of gray realm of Amazon's TOS, or their community guidelines. And then on top of that, to make things even more valuable, but also a little bit more hairy, is the value of a review, an Amazon review. In fact, the black market, which yes, of course, there's a black market for all things e-commerce, an Amazon review, a well-written, nice Amazon review, is valued at around like 40 to 50 bucks, meaning you can contact these Chinese companies and buy reviews for around 40 to 50 bucks per review, which is huge. I mean, that's like a $70 sale. So like literally you can get a customer to buy our $20 product, which might, if they go through an ad or whatever, might only end up with like $6 of profit. But then if they write a review, then that basically 10x's, like 8x's the value of that purchase, that customer. The review is more valuable than that first sale, which is wild. Not to mention if we can get some user-generated content out of them or some referrals or get them on a subscription or whatever. Maybe you do or maybe you don't have experience working with Amazon e-commerce. Maybe your background is more like D2C, Shopify, etc., or maybe it's TikTok or whatever. It's okay if you don't have the Amazon experience, but do understand that you have a bit to learn before coming in and thinking you're going to be able to develop the ideal lifecycle marketing strategy. If you do not have Amazon experience, don't assume that whatever strategies are the ones that we're going to want to implement. But not to worry, because I have plenty of strategy in here to communicate to you to get you rocking and rolling during your first 12 months. But as you probably saw in one of the other videos, the ideal is, you're someone that is then going to be able to build our strategy moving forward. Or in reality, it's kind of like you and I will be working together, because I'm going to be thinking even bigger picture than lifecycle marketing. So where my big picture strategy might come in, it's going to influence and affect your lifecycle marketing strategy. And then also understand that we're in the process of recruiting form leads. So like an Amazon marketing lead, someone that's going to be super expert level in specifically being inside of the Amazon platform doing marketing. Same thing with TikTok and Shopify. In fact, the ideal is that we get one mega genius that is going to be the lead of all of these different platforms, but not necessarily like a CMO, not necessarily external advertising and social media strategy and all that stuff. Because what we want is these experts in these different roles, like I communicated in another video, and then these experts are going to be syncing together. So that includes you on the lifecycle marketing front. I'm starting to think of these roles as the generals of the army. So a lot of collaboration in developing the unified strategy, because it all relates to each other. And so another thing about Amazon and our business specifically, so I didn't talk about this in the Novaeo intro video, is one of our core competencies is launching new products. And actually, I wanted one of our core competencies to even be launching new brands. So enter creative lead that we're also recruiting, but certainly new products. And we have this massive advantage is that we have our own manufacturing facility, and we have an absolutely ridiculously incredible formulation expert on the cosmetic beauty side. We can launch products very lean. You might not know this, but like in the supply chain realm, typically a minimum order will be around like 5,000 units, maybe more, sometimes even like 20,000 units. So if you want to launch a new product, you have to buy 5,000 units of that new product, and that's a big investment. But when you own your own manufacturing facility and you have your own formulator, we can just do like really whatever we need, a couple hundred units. So it keeps our inventory overhead very, very minimal. Therefore, instead of launching one product with 5,000 units, we can launch 10 products with 500 units with the same inventory overhead. And so that's a huge part of our overall strategy, is launching frequent products, especially because we have so many brands. So where that comes into play with lifecycle marketing is Amazon also, they have what it's kind of like slang, industry terminology. We call it the honeymoon period. We as in the Amazon merchant community, those that are like Amazon entrepreneurs. And that is, people debate, but it's roughly between like the first like 60 and 90 days of launching a new listing on Amazon. Amazon will give extra weight, like SEO weight, to every sale that happens. It's so that their algorithm can kind of figure out where this new listing belongs in terms of search ranking, so that it can compete against listings that have been on the platform for like a decade or, whatever. So it's so powerful that a very common strategy for Amazon marketers is go ahead and take losses on the sales, because it's all about just getting sales during those first 60 to 90 days. And a huge part of general strategy is different ways, especially getting really creative ways or even black hat ways of getting those early sales. So with lifecycle marketing, we are already in the process of, but we really need more firepower of building lists, like email lists, social media lists, etc., of customers that are essentially like trained, or conditioned to be buying our products somewhat impulsively, our new products, because we'll be willing to let them go for like $2. A product that might normally cost $20 to $25, we're fine, selling it for like $2, because, and that has us taking losses, but it's just to get those sales. If we can get an extra 1,000 sales during the first week, we will more than make up for that loss in organic sales because of the ranking boost. And so lifecycle marketing, we want to do things like inserts and stickers and even printing directly on the labels, these offers, QR code scans that get people to basically allow for us to contact them off of Amazon. And then we want to condition them into these lists. We want to condition them into doing reviews. We want to condition them into these, what we call the launch list. But at the same time, we don't necessarily want every customer to end up on the launch list, because then they'll stop buying our products at full price. So lifecycle marketing, what's that fully entail? It entails all the things post-purchase. Like I keep saying, a huge part of this is how do we get these people, how do we get their contact information? And one of the things that we're moving towards is printing offers directly on the labels. Or for our consumable powders, we have a lot of our brands are powders in these zip seal pouches. So zip seal pouch full of powder. So we haven't started doing this yet, but we're going to be printing offers, QR code scan offers on the back that either move to landing page or move to ManyChat bot conversation, so that we can A, get their contact information, start contacting them off of Amazon, and B, try to get that Amazon review and a whole bunch of other things that ultimately we want to try to get from every customer in order to increase the lifetime value, the LTV. So lifecycle marketing, the sorts of things that are going to be in your realm of responsibility is the stickers that we might put on the products instead of printing offers directly onto the pouches, onto the labels, shipping inserts, the offers that go on that are going to get printed. Then any kind of auto emails. And for different platforms, there's different rules and different opportunities that we can do. But all things auto emails would fall into this realm. The creation of landing pages or the ManyChat or whatever tool that you use. This will all be in your realm to build those bot automations. In fact, one of the questions that I'll be asking you, genuinely, because I don't know, is ought we do QR code scan to ManyChat, or let's just say bot automation, or should we go QR code scan to landing page? And honestly, I don't know. And then if it is bot conversation, on what platform ought we have the bot conversation? If I can create a list of the positives and negatives of the landing page versus bot automation, and I'm really just not sure what direction to go. So that'll be one of the conversations I'm going to have with you as part of the recruiting process. And you'll be able to ask whatever questions that because you're probably going to say, well, it depends. What's your goal? What are you trying to do here? All right, we have two primary brands. One, our beauty brand, Treactive, and one, our consumable brand, Wise. And both of these brands, by the time you're recruited, we might have gotten this started, but right now it's well conceptualized. These post-purchase funnels for both of them that are pretty big campaigns in themselves, so much so that I really believe that the growth of the brand, of these two brands, is pretty much going to come, not solely, but like 80-90% from these funnels. And they're two totally different things. So on the Treactive side, one of the other cool things that we can do, one of our competitive advantages in the market, because we have our own formulator and because we have our own manufacturing, is we can produce samples, like little tiny samples, 1-use, 5-use, samples. And so what we want to do is create offers, post-purchase offers. Again, this will get printed onto the label, in which the customers can get free samples from us. But what we ultimately want this to funnel into is for the customer to be signing up for a monthly subscription, in which every month they'll be able to get, roughly right now I'm working with about four new product samples, as well as a free shipping code to our .com and like a 10% site-wide discount code, so long as the free shipping and the 10% site-wide is all shipped. Like whatever else they purchase, it's all going to be shipped with the 4 samples that they're going to be getting every month. That way we can combine the shipping all together. Now, the reason why this is more unique than what it sounds like as soon as I said is, you may have heard what I said, new products. It's not new products, it's potential new products, formulas. So one of the most fun parts we have in this brand, really on the beauty side of our business, is the formulation. It's one of the reasons why we have so many products. It's just fun to be constantly getting new formulation samples from our formulation team and trying them out and giving her feedback. And then she sends out tweaks to the formula and we're trying those out and providing feedback until we were like, all right, that's perfect. Let's launch that as a product. But a lot of times we're like not really sure, or we disagree. Between all of us that are trying it out, like some might prefer one, some might prefer the other. So the idea is that we're going to use this membership, this community that we'll be building through this funnel that I spoke of with the samples, in order to basically get feedback of these formulation samples. So these samples that we'll be sending out aren't even current products. They're possible products. And so we're going to get feedback on them. And so that feedback will actually drive which products we launch. It'll allow for us to build like lists of people that are interested in that formula, so that when we do launch it as a product, we'll be able to offer that product to our members, these subscription members, for the super discount. The $2, maybe it'll be like $5, so that we can basically get maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000 really early sales on a newly launched product. And that'll be huge for our Amazon ranking. And then of course, it's also another perk that we can mention for this sample funnel. And to be honest, there's actually a lot more. And one of the other leads, one of the other generals that we're going to be recruiting is a community lead, community general, meaning responsible for building and maintaining and like energizing and getting value from and providing value to all these different communities that we want to build. There's a lot. It's not just communities for our brand. If you've gone through any of my content, you'll hear about a project called the Entrepreneur Endeavor, but that's for another time. So that's on the reactive side, and that's gonna be massive. And keep in mind, one of your roles is you have to have an analytical brain, because you gotta constantly be trying out new things, collecting the data, and then trying out something different, collecting the data, trying out something different. So we're constantly optimizing. Everything about the way my brain works, and therefore the strategy of all things Novaeo, is this lifetime of optimization. Everything is always changing, everything. And so we never want to stay the same. We don't want to stay stagnant. So you have to have a mind of always split testing and always trying out new things. It's very important. So anyway, that's on the reactive side. That's on the beauty product side. On the why side are consumables. Totally different funnel. Again, something printed directly on the pouch, QR code scan to offer. But you know what? I'm not 100% sure I want to communicate here, because this video I'm going to make public. And this idea is so valuable, and it hasn't been done before, that I'm not sure that I want to communicate it to the public. Well, I'll go a different direction. There's a very specific idea that is just going to be absolutely insanely amazing. And it's all in relation to the post-purchase funnel, and then what we do with the conversations and the lists that we build through that funnel. But separately, we'll have some other funnels, also post-purchase, different situation. I know this might sound a little confusing, but sorry about that. I just got you excited, and then now you're super curious. Well, hey, hopefully you'll get the job. All right, so anyway, another funnel that we'll be creating is highly discounted accessories for consumable products. So this brand sells like the raw ingredient. It's all like single ingredient powders. It's for people that want to mix their own smoothies, their own supplement stacks, whatever. So they're buying the individual raw ingredients. Well, certain accessories go really well with this brand, such as nicer scoops. So instead of the shitty plastic scoop that comes with the product, we'll have nice branded stainless steel measuring spoons that they can use instead. Digital pocket scales, really nice containers that'll be branded that are fantastic for keeping out moisture and light and O2. Flavoring powders as well. We're in the process of sourcing this right now. We don't have it yet, but I've been wanting to find this like a all-in-one flavoring powder, because as you can imagine, a lot of these powders taste like ass if they're just raw and on their own. So yeah, flavoring powders. Reusable stick packs. So you know how you can get, a lot of powders come in like a stick pack. You tear it off. It's single use. You dump the powder in. It's more of a sachet. But the idea is that because people will be making their own blends of powders, well, then they can use a funnel to fill something like this, and now they can throw this in their purse, in their gym bag, in their car, in their office desk, whatever. So they can make 7 of them every Sunday, and voila. On our pouches will be an offer to all these things that I just mentioned to get it at a highly discounted rate. We don't really even need to profit on those. I expect that to be super successful for helping us get those communications post-purchase. Again, it's all about getting them to contact us after an Amazon sale. Then there's some other ways that we have for getting contact information. In fact, we just got access to a super high-end data broker. Being able to get lists through that means is something that I've actually never done before. It's actually quite expensive per contact, but man, the information that you get, it's scary. It's like, I'm kind of curious what information about me is floating around in the data broker world. In fact, I'll probably check on that. That'll be interesting. All right, so what else in the realm of life? I know you're thinking about what is that one idea that he doesn't want to share? I know, I want to tell you. It's so awesome. But that brand, Wise, we're going to be doing a build in public for that brand, and the target is to make that a $200 million a year brand. So boom. And a lot of that confidence is because of this idea. So I can't share it yet. It'll be eventually put out there in the build in public, but at least by then we'll have gotten started on it. We'll be executing it. So I don't want to share that idea and then someone else beats us to it. and then we're going to be playing catch up on our own idea. That's happened to me a bunch of times before. I think I may have communicated this in another video, very much a creative mind, very, very inventive, very, very innovative. And that'll be hopefully super fun for you because I'll be constantly pumping you with ideas, creative ideas. So even if you're not inventive or innovative with ideas, that's actually not as big of a deal. I did communicate how we're going to want you to be trying out new stuff, new ideas, getting data, tweaking it, optimizing. But even if you're just someone that like follows the trends really well, like honestly, that's all we need. If you have a follow the leader kind of mind, and then I have the inventive mind, with our powers combined, we are Captain Planet. No, we will be super successful. We'll be super successful regardless, but even more successful if you can bring that to the table. Because I actually hate the follow the leader approach, but it is valuable. I don't really pay attention to what are the masterminds teaching and what are the gurus teaching and all that stuff. I always feel like I have better ideas, but it is good for me to get inspo from them and then improve upon their ideas. So if you can bring that to the table, then awesome. Oh man, there's another idea that I really want to share, but I can't. This is a general idea, like for anyone in e-com and for any of our brands. Basically, you're gonna really need to know AI, or really, we're gonna have other team members that'll be able to build this stuff, but it's gonna be all about that data collection. And I'll give you a hint. Like the surveys has been a really big trend for the past few years. For skincare, it'll be like, take this quiz or take this survey, and then we'll communicate to you the best product for your skin type. It's along those lines, but different. So is that something you've done before? The quiz funnels, the survey funnels? That would be really useful. I think I may have covered everything I have to share on this. Okay, well, let me summarize. We need you to be able to execute on your own as much as possible. And we have a lot of brands, but because of the AI tools that are out there, you should be able to do this. They will have creatives on the team. A lot of stuff, you should be able to create your own creative for it, like for the email and all that stuff. So your role in general is to help us get the customer data of our customers, to help us get a list building, to get data from third parties, from brokers, etc. I really want to emphasize that post-purchase. That's so important. Then to make use of all that contact information and to do so in ways that are a little bit different than what you might be used to. Yes, we still want to do things like going for subscriptions through our Shopify and all that. We're not only dedicated to Amazon. We have been in the past. Like that's been our thing. But especially because we want to be exiting these brands, selling these brands, the valuation really goes up if you diversify your income streams. So to make use of these lists, to really be focused on that LTV. When we calculate LTV, we're going to be putting dollar values on the things like user-generated content, reviews, especially Amazon reviews, but even like TikTok reviews and all things reviews. Yeah, I guess that's basically it. But if you have like ad experience, that's great because we will be hiring an ads expert. This role we're looking for first, which means the ads expert might trail by a few months. Landing pages, there once was a time where that was a little bit more difficult, but nowadays, you can build a landing page in like 15 minutes. Might not be superb, but that's the expectation, that we can build things super fast, start getting data, start building momentum, and then we can optimize along the way. We're not a corporate company, obviously. We're not an agency. We are kind of like eternally in startup mode. That's our mindset. We're scrappy. I would rather get 10 C minuses rather than like 1 A plus, because that means we've opened 10 projects that are all going to be collecting value rather than one like super project. We can always raise those C minuses to the A plus later. So anyway, I appreciate you watching this. Look forward to hearing from you. Ask me any questions that you might have, and anything else that comes to my mind will get written into the job description and the questions, and we'll be putting together some kind of like skill exam. If it's robust, it'll be paid. I like to do that. If there's a project that I can task you with, that we can have a little bit of back and forth so we can get used to each other, see the fit. If I'm asking for too much of your time, it'll be paid. That's it. All right. Thanks for watching.